Alright, welcome back. So today I want to in fact add the scores to our problems. We are now able to start the game. We can create players, we can add players to our game, and we give the first two cards to each player. The issue now is, in the end, what we want to actually know what are the scores. So how do we do that? Now it might be useful to put in a container for scores, and the obvious place to do this is to add here our scores, which initially might be just an empty list, and then to assign scores to players, and then later put these scores into the game score, so I know actually who has what in this particular game. So we just have to think about how we do this. I mentioned before there is one special case, and the special case is if a player has two aces and would then score 22, because this 22 would be a soft hand and needs to be reduced to 12 in this case. So how can we implement that? The first thing to do is to think how we store scores on players. So let me go to our player class. We know we have self.score, a player attribute. So what we can do is, so after each card is dealt, I can adjust the score depending on the value of the card. Because if you go now to our card class, we know that we have a value property which would give me the value of the card. Of course, having in mind that ace is a tricky one. So what I could do is, while giving the cards, I could actually in here change the score for the players. There is a little bit of a difficulty here, because I'm very efficient having one line which gives the card but also pops the deck at the same time. Now I could, in theory, do something that might resemble the following. I go to player.score, which is an attribute, plus equal to the card value. Now the card I get is actually this card here, I think, and add value here. Now this looks promising, but actually that doesn't work. The reason why this doesn't work is because the pop function, of course, returns the card I get. However, it changes also the deck, because this card is removed from the deck. So if I, in the next line, do the next pop function, it would just refer not to the current card, but to the next card. So this will cause a mistake. So to do this better, we have to be a bit less efficient in a way. So it would be good to introduce the variable card, copy paste that. So this is the card the first player gets, and I take this card then and append the hand, and simply then add the value of the card to my score. Now this will work fine, however, there is the special odd case of a score of 22. Yeah? So how can we adjust for that? We could try to do everything in here, but the loop is already getting complicated because we have an if-else statement, we have two for loops, so adding more if-else statements inside, I think, is not the best ever idea, to be really honest. So I think it might be better to have a score adjustment somewhere here, and also then give the scores to the game, basically. So what we do again is we loop over the players. So we give the two cards, so after the two cards are given, after I adjust the score, I check for this special case. Yeah, so that is the special case. I have two aces, yeah, so which actually doesn't happen that frequently, but it's still important to check for this. Yeah, so if player dot score, this gets me into the attribute, is equal to 22. So I have two aces. What do? What I then do is I simply adjust the core, the score to 12. Yeah, so I can simply say player.score equal to 12. Now there's one issue here. The ace will be a problem also going forward. So now I converted already one ace into a 1, basically. This is what I have done. So I changed that. So how to best handle this, I'm not yet entirely sure. We have to see. But if I only do this and later ask again how many aces do I have, I might overlook that already now one of the aces has been changed from an 11 to a 1. And I have to somehow record this. The best thing to do might be to take one of the aces, could be either the first or the second, it doesn't really matter, and change the rank of it straight away. I just do the following. I go to player hand, which we know is a list. I go to the first element of a list, which is the first card. We know the first card has to be an ace. I go into the rank of the first card and I change that. And basically I put this equal to 1. Yeah. In addition, of course, because I don't readjust now my score, I do the score adjustment. Yeah. So basically what I do here is I take the first ace as a 1. Yeah, so this is basically what I do. Okay, so that might be okay. Then after I have done the adjustment, so we run through that. So after we adjust here, we would anyway over all players, regardless of the special case, append the scores. So we do something like self.scores, so this goes back to our scores container, our list, append, and then I just throw in for each and every player the score. Of course, having in mind that in here I do the adjustment for the special case. Okay, so that I think would be quite promising. So in terms of testing, what else do I need? I basically take that, modify this, and what I test is whether the scores are actually now added and adjusted. So test scores added. Again, I can stick to the same players, it doesn't matter. I do the first round call, so that's all the same. What I want to do here is I want to check whether my scores are actually in my game scores. So what I do is I do some player 1 score. It should be in my game scores 0, the first position in this list, and I do the same for the second one. So, and did I mess up now anything? I think I did. I have one too many brackets. Okay, so that should in theory do it. So basically I run the game again. I adjust hopefully the score, so I check the player score and I make sure that the player score is also in the list, which is the game's score. Of course I should call this game, not games, because this is how we name our game instance. Yeah, so careful here. Good, so we go back in here and we test our tests and it all passes, which is great. Okay, so now in the main we could maybe look a little bit more carefully into the scores, because now of course we know the hand, so we can just maybe extend that if we want to. We could do that. It's up to us to think about it. I just go to the next line, so has hand blah de blah, which this gives, maybe this gives score. And what can I do here? I anyway refer here to the player score. It's easier because I'm in a player loop. Player score. Yeah, so something like that. So hopefully it is reflecting the change in my scores, which is now nicely coded in. Okay, let me just quickly run this again. Okay, here we are. So Sue has hand 10 of spades, 6 of hearts. This gives score 16. That makes sense. Okay, 10 plus 6, 16. Amy has a 9 of diamonds and a queen of hearts. This gives score 19. Again, makes sense. That looks good. I'll run it one more time. Now again we have different values. 5 of diamonds, 3 of diamonds, okay, gives 8. And we have a jack of diamonds and a king of spades gives 20. Yeah, so that seems to work all quite fine. Good. So now the main features are implemented. There's one more tricky thing, and this is not asking for one more card, because here I need interaction with a player. So I have to think now, how do I interact? And there are different ways to do it. So you could, of course, assume that we play this game in a graphical user interface. We could use tkinter to do this. We can go down the route of using maybe Pygame. There are different ways to do it, or we just use a good old-fashioned terminal game, which is actually what I favor, because then we don't have to spend too much energy on the front end. It becomes very much a classic game. Okay, thank you very much for listening, and